All right, what is going on, guys? So today we are back with another, the rise of another horror creator. Obviously, we're going through this series. There's, I think, 6 of them, so this is probably the 3rd episode. I don't know exactly. Sometimes I upload stuff out of order and stuff like that. So if this is the 3rd episode, good job on me. I've done a good job of uploading these in the correct order, but if not, oh well. So if you haven't seen the previous episodes, go watch those after this one. There's not really any particular order that matters. However, if you have not seen the reemergence of the horror community video, I do recommend you maybe watch that before this, since this is just kind of an expansion upon those. Or an expansion upon all the creators I listed in that video. So if you haven't seen that, go ahead and pause this video here, take a look at that one, and come back. I feel like it'll just lay out a little bit of a better ground foundation for, this video. So today we're going to be talking about Wendigoon. Now, if you don't know who Wendigoon is and you're in the horror community, I would be very surprised, since Wendigoon has really blown up. He is probably one of the biggest people we're gonna be talking about. So pretty much he joined July 19th of 2019. So definitely one of the newer YouTubers on this list. And of course, in that time, he has amassed 94.7 million views, pretty much. Not quite, but give or take a couple thousand. So that's obviously a lot of views, and also he has amassed 1.14 million subscribers. Now, this is all with only 96 videos released, and you may be thinking, wow, those are some of the best numbers we've seen so far on this series, taking a look at all the rises of these different horror creators and how they've kind of impacted the horror community in recent years, how they've kind of, shaken it up, changed it a little bit, done something different than just those horror narration channels of the past. So what has Wendigoon done to really grow and blow up in this way? Well, on top of him being just a pretty cool guy overall, if you watch his videos, he's, extremely thankful at the end and stuff like that. He's extremely grateful to everybody who watches and subscribe to his content, as well as his Patreon. He's, really grateful and really makes sure to give thanks for all of that, which I think is something that's important in a lot of YouTubers. I think it's important to thank your audience and stuff like that. And I really do think that it helps promote growth, because at the end of the day, if you're a dick, people probably aren't going to want to watch you. So Wendigoon is really nice. He is really personal with his audience, and, he's definitely not afraid to show how much it means to him that his audience is who it is. And on top of that, he's also really good at being himself. He's cried in videos before when stuff has been particularly touching to him. And once again, I think that that's something that we really don't see a lot from many YouTubers at all, because most of the time it's just YouTubers trying to show their best selves. But it's also really interesting from horror creators, because a lot of horror creators in the horror kind of community, they almost try and give off the horror, like, I'm as creepy as possible, I'm as mysterious and mystical and magical as, I could possibly be. And Wendigoon isn't really like that. He just acts like your normal guy that's interested in creepy stuff, which I think is really what a lot of horror YouTubers are. So it's kind of a fresh perspective seeing somebody that's a little more themselves within the horror community. Now, how did Wendigoon blow up? He didn't necessarily get big off of narrating horror stories like so many other YouTubers that we're going to talk about in this series specifically, but just so many other horror YouTubers in general. He's been a pretty original from the start. And if anything, what really gave him his rise was the iceberg kind of trend, which went around YouTube. And I would say every YouTube community kind of pitched into its success in its own way. But Wendigoon did something that really just stood out, I guess, something that nobody had seen before. And we'll get into that a little later. But as for right now, I kind of want to talk about what he did before, getting into that whole kind of iceberg meta, what really worked out for him. So he used to do a lot of gaming. He used to do a lot of, kind of gun related content. He would look at guns. He would rate, gun tubers. It's clear that he has that kind of past with gun tubers, which there's nothing wrong. I'm not going to get into the whole political, ideologies behind all of that and, what possible political thing he could have. He is also religious, I guess I should throw that in. So he made religious videos in the past as well as just some meme videos. So, like I said, we're not really going to spend time taking a look at and analyzing his political kind of background because I just don't really think that's important for the kind of content that he makes now. Maybe previously that would have been important, but I don't really think it's important now, as well as the fact that I typically like to stay politic free on my channel. So yeah, he made a couple of videos like that. And then his first real horror video, I guess, would be the true horror of Local 58. Now, if you don't know what Local 58 is, it's something that Nexpo has done videos and, similar creators to Nexpo. It's an ARG, and it's actually a quite good ARG. It's one that I've personally looked into and, kind of taken the time to dive into. And I personally really enjoyed it for the time that I did that. So, like I said, one that I would really recommend. And he obviously made a video on it, and it definitely did good, but it's not like shockingly good. So, moving on, we keep up with kind of the, there's a horror video here and there. There's, this and that. There's his kind of gaming, his religious stuff, just stuff like that. He did a music review at some point. So, but then there's also the mystery of the stairs in the woods. Now, this video did get a lot of views. However, I'm not really sure if it blew up at the time of its release or if it blew up later on. My guess would probably be later on, but it's really hard to tell with this kind of stuff. But that obviously got a lot of traction. And now if you don't know what the mystery of the stairs in the woods is, it's kind of like a creepypasta thing, I believe, that kind of works off of those liminal space sort of things. It's like, it's a staircase in the middle of the woods that has some interesting properties around it. Without spoiling too much, that's all I'm going to say. So, then he moved on, kept going, and then we hit what really, I would say, kind of led to him blowing up. This would be the conspiracy theory iceberg. Now, this was part 1. Obviously, I believe he did like 8 or 9 parts to it. I don't know for sure. I think it's 8, maybe it's 9. I just finished it recently, so I don't know. It's hard to say. But yeah, he did get big off of the conspiracy theory iceberg, which I really enjoyed. If you haven't seen it from him, it's really quite good. And it's also, like I said, it's something different than a lot of these other horror YouTubers. It's the iceberg format, which personally is a really engaging format, especially if you're somebody who just likes to throw stuff on and listen to it. It's really easy to just hear him, go through tier after tier and explain it a little bit. So that's been really cool to watch. I think that there is a full video where he's going to go over like all of it, but these iceberg videos really jump-started his career. It gave him the kind of popularity to keep going and moving on with more and more stuff. So we see a lot of icebergs. We see SCP icebergs, Star Wars icebergs, just icebergs for really everything. Cult icebergs, serial killer icebergs, unsolved true crime, just a lot of stuff like that. But he's, of course, also still kept to, a little bit of gaming. He has a whole separate second channel for gaming now. So, I just thought I would mention that. Just, he didn't really give up on like his original kind of content. He just moved it and obviously dedicated the Wendigoon channel to a more streamlined horror channel. And now I really think he's done a good job at installing like newer kind of interest into the horror community, because he's done a little bit of everything. You know, if you're there for those like creepypastas and stuff like that, he's talked about those. If you're there for the true crime, he's talked about those. If you're into ARGs, he does a good job of covering those, conspiracy theories. It's like it's a variety channel for horror, and it's really quite interesting. Like I said before, there's also, you know, kind of his religious stuff still comes in from time to time. He talks about Dante's Inferno and Dante's Purgatorio, you know, stuff like that, which, me being personally not the biggest religious person in the world, I'm still able to watch those videos and enjoy them for the kind of horror, intriguing aspects of them. So, like I said before in the original video, the reemergence of the horror community, if that's maybe not your stuff, I would still recommend checking him out and checking out those videos, because they really are interesting. Now, his quality isn't the highest. It's gotten better, but it isn't the highest. Sometimes there's ringing and stuff in his videos, which can be really annoying. One of the ones specifically would be the controversial disease with illegal symptoms. This obviously came out recently, and he's had kind of issues like this in the past, but that was one that I wanted to watch, and I began watching it, and I just literally, I could not watch it. So, yeah, I don't know. Wendigoon feels like a really good combination of all of the good stuff in horror, and he's done a really good job of bringing it back a little bit. So, you know, with that being said, I don't really have much else to say on the rise of his channel. I think overall it's just a very solid channel. There's tier lists, there's icebergs, it's a little more interactive of content, I guess, than just narration or even like fascinating horror, which either we just took a look at him or we'll take a look at him in the future, who just kind of goes over the same kind of content, just disasters over and over again. It's interesting to see Wendigoon kind of shake it up. He doesn't just do that. He does a little bit of everything. And I think he does it in a really good way. He's a really respectful narrator. He's a really, good narrator, I would say, in giving good perspectives on different issues and everything that he covers, and pretty much everything in between. Music, stuff like that. There's still stuff like that. He went over the dementia kind of album. I don't exactly know what it's called at the moment. I can't recall the name. Oh, my bad. I got it right here. Everywhere at the End of Time. That thing, I'm sure you know of it if you've been in the horror community for long enough. So, you know, like I said, just really diverse and interesting. And I think he's doing a really good job at reinstating, I guess. I don't, that's not really the right word. Bringing back that interest in the horror community, I guess. So, with that being said, make sure you go check him out. It's an interesting channel, although I'm sure you guys already have, because he's growing pretty exponentially recently. So, you know, if you haven't checked him out, make sure you check him out. But, if you have, I'm sure you know what I've been talking about in this whole video. I'm sure you can definitely agree with me on a lot of the points. But, however, with that being said, if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you hit that like button as well as that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 500 by the end of the year, and we've been progressing pretty good recently. So if we can keep it up, I really think we have a good shot at doing that. Of course, have a wonderful rest of your day. As always, I will see you guys later. Goodbye.